Hello, friends, how are you? So, I hope you all are doing great. Enjoying the lectures, you must tell me in the comment box, right? Because that will be a motivation for us also that yes, you people are liking the lectures. Okay. So, we were discussing about labor costing, and in the last lecture, we discussed something about overtime, right? And we did some example also, and the overtime, the provision of overtime according to the Factories Act 1948 we discussed, right, that if a worker works for more than 9 hours in a day or 48 hours in a week, then he is entitled to overtime at double the normal rate, right? So I gave you sufficient number of examples also. We did one comprehensive example where I showed you the treatment of both the provision, right, 9 hours and 48 hours also. Now, in this lecture, what we have to discuss is we have to discuss about the treatment of overtime wages in costing, right? How to treat this in costing, right? So, the topic is treatment of overtime wages in costing, right? This is the topic that we are going to discuss, and we'll see if we get some time, we'll solve one or two practical problems also, right? So, in case of the treatment of overtime wages in costing, we have three different scenarios. Let's discuss one by one. The first scenario is if the overtime is being done at the request of customer, at the request of customer, right? Or for a particular job. Right? Now, what it means, say a customer comes to me, right, and he says, sir, I have a contract for you. Contract of what? You have to make the Indian cricket team jersey. I am very elated, right, because I'll be getting a huge margin, huge profits. This is a big contract. I will get a good name, right? If I get this contract, obviously, sir, it is a big contract for any businessman. That businessman will not let this opportunity slip from the hands, right? You say, okay, sir, we'll definitely make the jerseys. No issue. But the next thing he says, sir, we need the jerseys within 1 week. Okay. Now, you will think for a minute, because you also know that it is very difficult to make all the jerseys with that quality in a week, because you will have to get the cloth also, then get it stitched and all those things. You will have to make extra jerseys also, obviously, right? So this is tough. But now what the customer says, he says, I'll pay you this big amount. This is a 1 crore project, 1 CR project. Just think of it. Now, the situation is quite dicey for me. Why, sir? One side, I have 1 crore, I have a huge profit, right? And on the other side, the situation is that it is really tough to make the jerseys in 1 week. Now, what happens? The customer says, sir, do one thing, do overtime. Ask your labor to do overtime, right? Whatever the charges will be, I will pay. Obviously. Right? So this is if the overtime is being done at the request of the customer says, I need this product immediately or within few weeks, and for the completion of that project, right, you need to get this overtime done. Then you will charge whatever the overtime wages you will pay, you will charge from this customer only, right? You will not charge from the other customers, because it was not the requirement of other customers. Then why will you charge from them? No, sir, we can't charge them, right? So whatever the overtime wages, it will be charged from this customer or from this particular job, right? So I'll say overtime wages will be charged to this particular customer only, to this particular customer, or I can say job also, right? This particular customer or job, right? We cannot charge this amount of overtime to other customers, because this overtime was done at the request of this particular customer only, not at the request of other customers. Clear? Now, this is the first scenario. Now coming to the second scenario. The second scenario says if it is a general nature, if it is the overtime is due to general nature of business. That means, sir, you have so much work, your business is growing that good, you have so much work that you have to do overtime as a routine job, right? It is your routine time because you have so much of work that you are not able to complete without doing the overtime. So you have to do overtime to complete the pending jobs. So this is a routine nature of the business, right? So what will you do in this case, sir? In this case, you will charge these overtime wages to all the customers. Why, sir, all the customers? Because you have the orders from various customers, right? So you're doing the overtime for all these customers, not for a particular customer, right? So what will you do? Obviously, you have to recover this amount from somewhere. You are not going to pay it from your pocket only. You will recover it from your customer. So what you will do is you will recover this amount from all your customers. So what you will do, sir, your wage rate will change. What is wage rate, sir? In this case, your average wage rate will be your average wage rate per hour will be normal wages, right? Whatever you normally pay plus overtime wages, right? Divided by normal time plus overtime. Clear? So what you will do? You will increase your wage rate to charge it from all the customers. Normal wages plus overtime wages. Total wages divided by total time. This will give you the wage rate per hour, and according to that wage rate per hour, you will charge your customers. Clear? This is also known as inflated wage rate. This is also known as inflated wage rate. So in some of the questions you will find this word written, inflated wage rate. That means you are increasing the normal wage rate by the overtime wages, right? Inflated wage rate means the increased wage rate due to overtime. So this is the second scenario if it is due to the general nature of business. You can read it from my handbooks. I have given the whole explanation there, that if the overtime occurs due to general pressure of work on account of shortage of skilled labor and is worked regularly throughout the year as a normal feature, the overtime wages will be charged evenly to all the customers. This is what I have written in the handbooks. All those who are having the handbooks, they can read it from there, right? I know most of the people are having the handbooks because before the start of the batch, most of the people have got the handbooks. They were so excited, sir. Yes, finally the English batch is coming. They were waiting for it for a long time. Is that clear? The second scenario. The first scenario is to a particular customer. The second scenario, if it is the general nature of business, due to any reason, it can be due to the shortage of skilled labor, right? Or it can be due to you have so much of work, your business is growing that much, you have so much of work. So there can be many reasons for it. Clear? So it is due to the general nature of business. Then you will have to calculate the inflated wage rate and you will charge it to all the customers. Clear? Now, what is the third scenario? I told you there are three scenarios. What is the third scenario? Third scenario if it is due to some abnormal reason. Sir, what can be the abnormal reason? Abnormal reason can be, what can be the abnormal reason, sir? One of the abnormal reasons can be mismanagement, right? Mismanagement, that the business didn't plan its production very smartly, and accordingly what happened at the last moment when the goods were to be delivered, the time was short. In that case, they had to resort to overtime. Then it is due to mismanagement. Clear? And I told you in one of the lectures that in case you have any of the abnormal cost, now this cost will be due to abnormal reason, whatever the overtime cost will be, it will be due to abnormal reason. I told you that in case you have any abnormal cost, how to treat that. Sir, very simple, that any abnormal cost, you cannot charge it from your customer because it is due to your mistake, it is not due to the customer's mistake. Now, if you cannot charge it from your customer, that means you will have to bear it from your pocket. If you have to bear it from your pocket, that means it will directly impact your profits. That means it will be charged to costing, profit and loss account. Clear? So I have given you the whole explanation, whole reason why any abnormal cost in costing, abnormal cost is always charged to costing P&L. Sir, because it is because of your mistake, it is not because of the mistake of any of your customers, right? So you cannot charge this amount from your customers. You have to bear it from your pocket. Your pocket means you have to bear it from your profits. It will directly impact your profits. So this cost will be charged to costing, profit and loss account. Clear this much? So these are the three scenarios. First is at the request of customer or for a particular job. Second is due to the general nature of business, right? And third one is due to abnormal reason. One of the abnormal reasons can be mismanagement or due to occurrence of any other reason, right? It can be due to power failure. It can be due to that also, right? So this is the treatment of overtime in costing. And this is a very important topic from the practical point of view also. Now let's come to the practical problems. Let's try to solve some practical problems on it. Question number 5. The normal working week in a factory is 44 hours, right? A worker is paid 50 paisa per hour. This is the normal rate. This is what? This is the normal rate. Clear? 50 paisa per hour overtime at 1.5 times the hourly rate, right? Overtime is paid at 1.5 times the hourly rate. That is 1.5 times of this 50 paisa and a bonus of 25 paisa for every 100 articles produced in excess of 5,000 per week, right? For every 100 articles, you will get 25 paisa, not for one article. Read the question, always read the question very carefully. That's what I always say. He says for every 100 articles you will get 25 paisa, but 100 articles you have to count above 5,000. Up till 5,000 you will not get a bonus, right? You will get a bonus if you produce more than 5,000 units per week. Calculate his wages for the week from the following particulars taken from his time and job card. So we are given the various days, in time, out time, right? This is the morning time, then we have the lunch break, then this is the afternoon and evening time, and we are given the output for a particular week, right? From Friday to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is off, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. So we are given it the data for the week, right? So what we are going to calculate, sir, we have the days, we need to calculate the number of hours worked from this data, What you will calculate number of hours worked. Obviously, you will calculate this number of hours worked, isn't it? Right? Then we have output given to us. Clear? Now, how to calculate this number of hours worked, sir? Let's try to do it. Okay. From 8 to 12, how many hours here, sir? How many hours? 4 hours. And then from 1 to 5:30, how many hours? Sir, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. 4.5 hours, 4.5. Right? Then on Saturday, 8 to 11:30, how many hours? Sir, 3.5 hours, right? Then nothing thereafter. On Monday, from 8:30 to 12:30, 4 hours. From 1 to 8, 7 hours. Wow. 7 hours. On Tuesday, 8 to 12, 4 hours, and from 1 to 6, 5 hours. Then 8 to 12, 4 hours, 1 to 6:30, 5.5 hours. Then 8 to 12, 4 hours, and 1 to 7, 6 hours, right? So this is his working on particular days, right? And we have to calculate we have to give him the normal wages also. We have to give him the overtime also at 1.5 times, and we have to give him the bonus also. Now, first we'll try to find out the normal hours. Normal hours is 44 hours. We'll try to find out the overtime, if he's having any overtime or not. Right? Shall we do it? Okay, let's do it. Question number 5. So what we have is, we have days with us, then we have hours worked, and output, right? Okay, so for the days we have Friday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Right? What are the hours worked, sir? What are the hours worked? Say on the Friday is worked for 4 hours in the morning and 4.5 hours in the afternoon shift. That means total of 8.5 hours. Total of 8.5 hours. Right? On Saturday is worked for 3.5 hours. Nothing else. 3.5 hours. On Monday, 4 plus 7, 11 hours. Wow, sir, great. Are you studying for 11 hours, sir? No, sir, we are not studying for 11 hours. Then 4 plus 5, 9 hours. Being a CA student, you must study for at least 10 to 11 hours. Next, 4 plus 5.5, 9.5 hours. Right? On Thursday, 4 plus 6, 10 hours. Right? So what is the total number of hours he is working for? Sir, he is working for 51.5 hours. Right? What is the output? Output is given to us 950, 545, 1106 and 1052, then 1002 and 1112. Just cross verify it once. Right, sir? Okay, so the total output is 5767. Clear? Now, the question has given us 3 things. One is the normal time, right? Normal wages. So first we'll pay him the normal wages. No problem, sir. Now, normal wages will be given for 44 hours, because this is the normal time, at 50 paisa, 0.50, right? So this comes to 22 rupees. Now we have to give him overtime. Now overtime means any time spent over and above these 44 hours. So he has spent 51.5 hours. That means he is having 7.5 hours over and above this 44. So for that we will be paying him overtime. 7.5 hours, right? Multiplied by, now what is the rate? Sir, here you cannot say that we have to give the overtime at double the normal rate as per Factories Act, because nowhere in the question it is given that you have to follow the Factories Act 1948, nowhere. But the question specifically says that you have to give overtime at 1.5 times the hourly rate. Hourly rate is 50 paisa, and what is the 1.5 times of this? 1.5 times of this will be 75 paisa, right? Multiplied by 1.5, sir, simple. So 0.75. Clear? This comes to 5.62. And see, the question says you have to give the bonus if the output is more than 5,000 units. Yes, sir, the output is more than 5,000 units. Right? So that means we'll be giving bonus to this person, right? What should be the bonus? 25 paisa for every 100 unit. right? So 25 paisa for every 100 units. Now, how many units above 5,000 he has produced? He has produced 767 units. So what is the bonus for 767 units? That comes to 1.92. Are you getting my point? 0.25 divided by 100. Why? Because, sir, we are giving 25 paisa for every 100 units. We calculated for 1 unit. Then how many units he has produced over and above 5,000? 767 units, right? So we'll multiply by 767 to get this value of bonus, right? So his total wages will be now we'll get his total wages for the week. Total wages for the week, right? That is 29.55. Clear? This is his total wages for the week, and calculate the wages for the week. This is what was the requirement of the question. Clear? I hope this is clear. So you have to read the question very carefully. You have to interpret the question very carefully, what the question is asking for. Clear? So this is one of the simplest questions on overtime. We'll be doing some tough questions also, don't worry about it, right? This is what I have made you practice, one of the simplest questions. Sir, very, very simple question. Okay. Now, let's come to next question. We have sufficient time to attempt the next question also, sir. Question number 6. Following are the particulars of two workers A and B. The basic wages are given. Very good, sir. DNS allowance is given 50%, 50%. That means it is to be calculated on basic wages, right? This is percentage of basic. Clear? Then contribution to provident fund on basic wages. It is clearly given. Remember the first lectures where we discussed about this calculations. I told you that if you are specifically given that, you have to be very careful to calculate on that particular part only. Now, what if the question is silent on this part? What if it is not given in the question? Say it is not given in the question, then how will you treat it? Then you can calculate it on basic wages plus DNS allowance. But what you have to do in the examination is to be absolutely on the safer side, give a note to that effect, that the contribution to provident fund has been calculated on basic wages plus DA. Or if you calculate it on the basic wages, then also give a note that this has been done on basic wages. This is the best way to be on safer side, right? Clear? So contribution to provident fund on basic wages 8%, 8%. Contribution to employee state insurance on basic wages 2% is given. Overtime is given 10 hours, but this overtime has been done by only A and nothing has been done by B. There is no overtime for B. Okay, sir. The normal working hours for the month are 200. The overtime is paid at double the total of normal wages and DNS allowance. Again, the point is you need to read question very carefully. He says the overtime is to be paid at double the total of normal wages and DNS allowance. So the double is to be calculated for basic plus DA multiplied by 2. Clear? Employer's contribution to state insurance provident fund are at equal rates with the employee's contribution. That means the employee is also contributing and the employer is also contributing. The two workers were employed on 3 jobs X, Y and Z in the following proportions. Worker A 40, 30, 30, worker B 50, 20 and 30. This is the contribution to that particular job, time contribution. Overtime was done on job Y only. The first thing, overtime is done by whom? Overtime is done by worker A only, right? The second thing, overtime is done on job Y only by worker A only. Clear? So he says calculate ordinary wage rate per hour. What are the wages? Ordinary. Leave overtime or anything, sir. Ordinary wages means not considering the overtime thing. Ordinary, on an ordinary basis, what he is going to get, and allocate the employee cost. Now employee cost will include the overtime also, right? to each job X, Y, and Z. See, this question is from the institute material only with a twist. This question has been asked in the November 2020 attempt also with only the change of figures, right? So these kind of questions can be asked in the examination. This question was asked for, I guess, 6 marks. 6 or 8 marks somewhere it was asked for. Clear? So first we are going to calculate the ordinary wages. Sir, ordinary wages include basic wages, dearness allowance, contribution to provident fund, and contribution to ESI, right? These are the ordinary wages, but he is asking calculate ordinary wage rate per hour. For 1 hour we have to calculate. Okay. Let's do it. Question number 6. Question number 6. So first we'll calculate calculation of ordinary wage rate per hour. Ordinary wage rate per hour. Right? So we have got 2 workers, sir, worker A, and we have got worker B. The first thing we'll get is the basic wages. Basic wages is given to you as how much? Sir, basic wages is given to you as 10,000 and 16,000, right? 10,000 and 16,000, right? You will add DA to it. What will be the DA? At the rate of 50%, that means 5,000 and 8,000. So this will give me gross wages of 15,000 and 24,000. This is my gross wages without overtime. Clear? Now what I will take, another thing is contribution, employer's contribution to PF and ESI 8% and 2% plus employer's contribution to PF is 8%, right? That comes to 8% of basic wages, not basic wages plus DA. You need to be very careful with this thing, right? Then ESI at 2%, 200 and 320, right? So this will give me total wages. This is 16,000 and this is 25,600. Now what we are calculating is ordinary wage rate. So what is the normal working hours? It is given. What is the ordinary working hours? That is 200 normal working hours. We are not considering the effect of overtime anyhow in the calculation of ordinary wage rate per hour, right? Ordinary wage rate per hour means in routine what he is getting, right? So I'll divide it by normal working hours, that is 200 for each employee, right? So the result you will get is ordinary wage rate per hour. Ordinary wage rate per hour. This is 80 and this is 128. We'll calculate it once. 25,600 divided by 200. Yes, sir, 128. Clear? So this was the first requirement. Ordinary wage rate means what he normally gets in routine. Basic wages he gets, DA he gets, gross wages plus employer's contribution. Now overtime is, if he will do overtime only, then he will get. Now he's not getting it in routine. Clear? It was for a particular job. Now second says you have to distribute the employee cost to these 3 jobs, right? Employee cost means one, this 16,000 and 25,600 we have to distribute, we have to charge these to the various jobs X, Y and Z. For this the proportion is given, but employee cost includes one more thing. What, sir? It includes overtime also. Overtime also is part of employee cost. That is why we are studying in this chapter, sir. Clear? So first we'll calculate overtime in this case. Now, calculation of overtime. Calculation of overtime by worker A, because there is no overtime by worker B. The question says that the overtime is to be paid at double the rate of basic wages and DA. What is the total of, first say, basic wages plus DA? It is 10,000 plus DA is 5,000. So this is 15,000. Clear? Any doubts up till this point? Right, sir? Now, the overtime is to be paid. What is overtime? Overtime is to be paid at twice the rate. Right? It's 30,000. But this 30,000 is for how many hours? Sir, this 30,000 is for 200 hours. This is the rate for 200 hours. We need to calculate it for only 10 hours because the overtime is 10 hours, right? So what will be the overtime calculation? Overtime calculation will be 30,000 divided by 200 multiplied by 10 hours, right? Sir, this 30,000 payment is for 200 hours. I need to calculate only for 10 hours because my overtime is only 10 hours, sir, not 200 hours. Okay. So this comes to rupees 1,500. Is that clear? Any doubts? I hope this is clear. I'm trying my best that it should be explained in the simplest way. Why it is divided by 200? Because I have to calculate this rate for 10 hours. So first I'll calculate it for 1 hour by dividing it by 200 hours because this is the payment for 200 hours. Clear? Now I have two things. One is this total wages and the other thing is this overtime. I have to distribute these two things between the jobs now. Now I'll get distribution of employee cost to various jobs. Distribution of employee cost. Distribution of employee cost to various jobs. Right? Now we have to work on it. So what are the various jobs, sir? We have got three jobs. One is X, Y and Z. Right? First, we'll distribute for worker A. First, we'll distribute for worker A. Now, for worker A, we have normal wages. We have normal wages, and how many are the normal wages, sir? 16,000 is the normal wages. I'll write it here total, right? Total. Now I'll distribute this. This normal wages is to be distributed among all the three jobs in the ratio of 4:3:3 because the ratio is given that the time spent is in this proportion. So we'll distribute in the ratio of 4:3:3, right? This comes to 6,400, 4,800 and then for the Z also we have 4,800, right? Now for worker A we have overtime also. We just calculated overtime of 1,500. Sir, this also will distribute among all the jobs. Do it. Distribute it among all the jobs. Sir, this is absolutely wrong. If you are going to distribute this 1,500 among all the jobs, then the answer will be wrong. Why, sir? Read the question carefully. He says the overtime was done for job Y only. And I just told you that if the overtime is being done for a specific job, see the case 1, If it is at the request of a customer or for a particular job, then it will be charged to that job only. Now, if the overtime in this case is done for only job Y, then why we should distribute the cost between X and Z? No, sir. We'll charge it to that particular job only. Clear? So this is for worker A. Now let's come to worker B. Worker B is having only and only normal wages. Only and only normal wages, sir. No overtime. How much? 25,600. What is the ratio of distribution? That is 5:2:3. 5:2:3. Okay. So this comes to 12,800, 5120 and 7680. What is the total cost? So total is 43,100 and to X is 19,200, 11,420 to Y and 12,480 to Z, right? So this is the distribution of employee cost to various jobs, and this is what the requirement of the question was. Clear? Any doubts? So this is a very good question. See, it has come in the examination in the November 2020 attempt. Now, one more thing to be discussed in this question. What, sir? In the institute material, in this question, what you are required is, you are required to calculate total earnings of A and B. Calculate total earnings of A and B. Now, what is meant by this total earnings of A and B? Sir, it means what amount of that salary or what amount of that wages they will be taking home in actual, right? What amount of total wages or total earnings they will be taking home in actual. Okay, so I have to just discuss a bit about it. I won't do the calculations. Calculation of total earnings of A and B. That means the amount that they will be actually taking home in their pocket. That is called the total earnings of A and B, right? So in this case, what they will be taking, sir? A and B. Sir, first and the foremost thing, they will be taking the basic wages. They will be taking the basic wages, right, sir? They will be taking the basic wages. They will be taking the DA also. Right, sir. They will be taking the DA also. Sir, they will be taking the employer's contribution. Employer's contribution also. No, sir. Now, this is the point here that needs to be addressed. Sir, employer's contribution is an indirect contribution. The employer will not hand over the amount to the employee. The employer will contribute that amount to the fund. The employee will not get that money to be taken to the home. Right? So in this case, while calculating the total earning, the employer's contribution has not been taken. Why, sir? Because this is an indirect contribution. The employer is not getting this money in his pocket to be taken to home. Clear? This is an indirect contribution done by employer. So what else he will get, sir? He will get overtime. Who will get overtime? Only A will get overtime. Clear? So he left the office taking this much of amount in his pocket. Now on his way back, what he is doing is, on his way back, he is contributing. Sir, how do we get to know? See, it is given the employer's contribution is equal rates with employee's contribution. That means he left the office taking this much of money, right? On his way back, he decided that I should also contribute some money to ESI and PF. That is for my future benefit only. Now what he did, out of this money, he contributed some money, that is employee's contribution. This is employee's contribution to PF and ESI. Right, out of this money. So net amount he will be taking home. Clear? So this is how the calculation has been done in the book also in ICAI module. You can check it out there. So all those who have subscribed to my ICAI study mat question discussion series, they will get the clarity there also. Nothing to worry about it, right? So most of you have subscribed to that also, so you will get the clarity there also. But I just wanted to give the reason that why the things are doing like this. Okay, why employer's contribution is not taken, because this money the employee is not getting in cash in his pocket, right? That is why we are not taking the employer's contribution here. Now why the employee's contribution has been subtracted? Because he left the office taking some amount, and on his way back he decided that he should also contribute to PF and ESI. So what is the net amount that he will be taking back home after contribution? Clear? So with this, that question of your ICAI module is also covered. Any doubts? I hope this much is clear. Right, sir? So with this, we have done some part of overtime. Sir, still some part of overtime, still something is left in overtime. What is left in overtime is two very good questions, two brilliant questions of ICAI module only. Question number 7 again from ICAI module, question number 8 again from ICAI module. These two questions of overtime we have to do, and these are brilliant questions, right? These are superb questions of overtime. This will really test your mind. This will really test what you have understood. So what you have to do is, before moving on to the next lecture, you have to revise what we have done till now, right? You have to revise it thoroughly. All those having the handbooks, they can revise it from the handbooks, right? You have to absolutely revise it thoroughly what we have done so far. That is very important before we move on to the question number 7 and 8. Because these two questions are really very good questions that are going to test your conceptual clarity, right? And one whole lecture I'll spend on these two questions. These are very good questions, important questions from examination point of view. That is why I'm going to spend one whole lecture on these two questions, right? So see you guys in the next lecture. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you so much.